It's been 16 years.
One day out of the year I just don't do well, and it's this day.
16 years of missed holidays, missed birthdays, and missed milestones. 16 years since Whitehall police officer Terry McDowell, a father and husband, was killed doing the job he loved.
You don't ever take life for granted. Things change within a matter of 8 seconds that night.
Just about anyone in this community can recall where they were when they received the news. The news that Officer McDowell was fatally shot through a screen door while attempting to serve a $60 traffic ticket.
Every day we never forget.
Nothing gets easier after 16 years.
But moments like this, a gathering of those who knew him or have heard stories about him, help to ease the pain, make a day when his widow can barely get out of bed a bit better. In addition to the ceremony that's held every year on this day, the day he lost his life in the line of duty, Whitehall police are making a more permanent memorial for Officer McDowell. They're naming their new complex in addition to the Whitehall Police Department after him.
I am overjoyed with the fact that they want to do something to substantially remember him for years and years to come.
In Whitehall, Cierra Johnson, 10 TV News. As summer vacation ended and a new school year began, something was missing from Olentangy Liberty High School.
My heart broke for myself, for all of Hunter and Gavin's friends and their families.
People who did know them love them so much.
On July 17th, a car accident on Africa Road in Delaware County turned deadly, taking the lives of 2 Liberty students.
They were just fun-loving.
17-year-old Gavin Schlotterbach and Hunter McClellan will not walk the halls with their classmates, laugh at lunch, or attend their senior prom. But their classmates are working to ensure the time they did spend inside of Olentangy Liberty is not forgotten.
There's going to be a lot of emotion.
Before the varsity team takes the field Friday, students, staff, and members of this close-knit community will blow bubbles as a way to remember 2 teens who once filled the halls with love.
And everybody's really excited, and I think it's a cool idea just to get everybody together and united as a school.
I've heard from people who I haven't even met before and who don't usually go to the football games. They're all coming, and I think it's just going to be a really special moment.
In Powell, Cierra Johnson, 10 TV News.
Well, tonight, a warning for anyone planning an event. Do your research before you pick a venue. A viewer reached out to 10 TV News after learning a bride's big day is now in limbo. 10 TV's Cierra Johnson met with the mother of that bride, who says she can't get a hold of the vendor who still has some of her money.
Just days after Amy Green's boyfriend popped the question in January, Charlene Green began planning the wedding of her daughter's dreams.
I was just so excited for her.
Charlene served as the eyes and ears here in Columbus while the bride and her fiance lived in Charlotte. The first order of business, selecting a venue.
She wanted to really start planning the wedding really soon.
She says her daughter was also impressed with what Kizzy Castle's Rain event venue on East Broad Street offered. And on May 18th, with a deposit of $900 paid and the contract signed, this mom and bride-to-be moved on and began planning other aspects of their big day, officially set for April of 2018. But when this family tried to contact the business owner, Kizzy Castle was nowhere to be found.
I feel devastated. It's just like we felt that we were really taken advantage of.
We found phone numbers for Kizzy Castle had been changed, Facebook accounts deleted, and contact information once listed on her website are now gone. This is what we found: locked doors with notification the power had been cut, and a cease and desist notice from the attorney of Ms. Castle's former landlord. Court records show Castle had been evicted from her East Broad Street location just days before the bride signed the contract. Our attempts to reach the business owner at multiple phone numbers, including a nonprofit, were unsuccessful.
I don't know, I just lost trust in what has happened with Kizzy.
This mother believes she will never see the money, and the search is now on for a new venue. But she does have this warning for other brides-to-be.
And not just go with someone who just started out in business and you don't know anything about them.
In Columbus, Cierra Johnson, 10 TV News.
Well, the popular bridal publication, The Knot, recommends keeping clear records of any and all communication you have with any vendor. They also recommend keeping copies of all your receipts and contracts just in case you have to file a dispute.
Well, a veteran who died overseas after World War II is finally coming home to Central Ohio. 10 TV's Cierra Johnson explains the plan to give Harold Davis the welcome home he deserved so many years ago.
For years, Richard Waite wondered what happened.
What was the saying he had there, Carol, until we meet again?
A phrase that was just that when it was pinned in slanted script decades ago. Waite was just 7, his uncle Harold Davis only 18, when he went off to fight in World War II.
He wrote a lot of letters, but he couldn't even say where he was at.
That is, until Waite's family received the news that the young man fighting for his country had been killed. The communications serviceman was one of 9 to die when their plane crashed in the mountains of New Guinea. That was in 1944.
Thought that was the end of that era.
It wasn't until 1961 when that wreckage was recovered. And just 3 years ago, Waite received a call requesting a DNA sample, which he gave.
Out of his rib bone is about 3 inches long, and they cut about 3/8 of an inch out of the bone, and that's what they went with.
And just days ago, another call, this time from the U.S. Army.
And they said they was coming. I thought to myself, what kind of a scam is this?
But the visit was far from a scam. It was a 4-hour meeting explaining the remains were in fact those of his Uncle Harold, and to arrange a proper military procession and burial.
Never dreamed it would be anything. They found my uncle.
Harold's remains will now make their way to John Glenn International Airport, and from there a procession to his hometown of Zanesville, where the serviceman and his family will meet again.
Quite an honor to think Uncle Sam would bring him back and do this for him at the end.
In Zanesville, Cierra Johnson, 10 TV News. Yes, Yolanda, that strong wind is to blame for much of the damage here in London. You can see there's a part of a tree that was knocked off by that wind. But if you actually turn around, you can see half of a tree was knocked down by the wind and landed on this car. Neighbors tell me they got quite the surprise when they came out to see not only did it land on their car, but it also hit a portion of their roof. They tell me no one was hurt in this situation, but it was quite a surprise. Now, the wind, I'm being told, was so strong in this area that neighbors had to actually hold their doors shut to prevent them from flapping in the wind. As we drove into London, we saw scenes like this, trees knocked over, branches in the road, as well as trash cans in the road. But we also saw them setting up for a festival. Now, a neighbor or a volunteer told me they were setting up for the festival, and the wind was so strong, the tents lifted up off of the ground. Of course, they had to get that together. That festival is kicking off tomorrow. But again, here on Mound Street in London, quite the scene for neighbors. Trees down, branches down, and at this home they had to turn off the power because of the nearby lines. There are only 3 outages right now, but London PD tells me that they are working on 24 open calls of service for scenes like this. Thankfully, no reports of injuries. I'm live on Mound Street in London. Cierra Johnson, 10 TV News.